Good morning. Well, it's just gone 9 o'clock. I've just taken Mikey to school, so I'm now about to go on my power walk. But before I do that, I have to take my Noni. Now, once you open a bottle of Noni, you always keep it in the fridge. That's something I didn't say in the last video I made. What's here? It looks good and it does you good, but does it taste good? Yeah. Whew. Well, I've just done a power walk now. Just got back. Just going to make myself a cup of coffee, and then get on with the work scenario. A couple of things I want to just talk about with regards to the Noni juice and what some people are asking me. A few people have said to me, "Hey Simon, yeah, look, hear all the stuff about Noni, and I've seen your videos and seen a few other videos, but how come if it's so good, why haven't we heard about it before? Why aren't doctors recommending it? Generally, why aren't we hearing about it on an ongoing basis?" Well, I'll try and answer that in terms of my opinion. My opinion is really, I think, well, first of all, as you know, the Noni plant is not, it doesn't grow in our part of the world at all. It very much grows in the tropical areas of the world, and it's a wild plant. Now, Noni has been in the UK for the last 20 years in some form or other, and as I've mentioned to you, I've seen it in the Costco business fairly recently, as a diluted version with other fruit juice. But it has been people have been aware of it. People who particularly who look at health and wellness in detail, particularly from what they can get from the natural world, tend to know about Noni. It's a product they will have read about or seen, because it is known out there as a natural plant and fruit that is very good for us. Because it doesn't taste well, it tastes, let me be clear on this, it tastes awful. It's a horrible, horrible taste and a horrible, horrible smell. So you won't see it on our produce counters at Morrison's or Sainsbury's or anywhere for that matter, because it would be repulsive to anybody who saw it and smelt it and tasted it for the very first time. So that's part of the reason. So it's not a food that's good for you and it also tastes nice. It tastes awful. So that's possibly why it hasn't it's been a sensation in the Western world up to now. There are other reasons as well. I think Noni in America has been on the market for 20 years as well. It's probably been in Australia a little bit longer, but there I've also been told that it is growing in Australia, in some parts of the outback of Australia as well. So it is becoming more and more well known. So it's not a question of, well, why haven't we heard of it yet in the UK? It's more a question of it is becoming more and more popular. I think something else what we must tend to understand in our country is we are very much driven by the drug industry when it comes to health. And I can give you an example of this as well in terms of, you know, my world, let's call it the UK and Western way of life, compared with my wife's world, Rich's world, with the lifestyle in Southeast Asia, particularly in the country, in the provinces in Southeast Asia, out of the main big cities. As one gets older in our country, one tends to end up taking some form of medication for blood pressure or diabetes or your hearts or your something or other. There's always a medication of some kind which is required, and our society is quite accepting the fact that we take these drugs and pills on a regular basis. They're prescribed to us through our GPs or through our specialists, and we take them. You know, my mother has been taking them, my father was taking them. I've gone onto various pills for various things, and so at my you know, from the age of 60, and I know a lot of my friends and colleagues have as well. Now, in the part of the world where Richie comes from, her father isn't on medication, her mother's not on medication, and they're both in their 80s, and they don't need to be, because they are living in an environment which is healthier than the environment we're living in. They've got so much more in terms of natural goodness around them, in terms of plant life and food opportunities, that they don't require the medications that we require in the Western world. And it's really quite as simple as that. I know that for a fact, the more I force myself out into the countryside, like I've just done now, the better I feel. Now, doing that plus taking my daily dose of Noni juice is making me feel even better. It's making me feel even stronger. It's giving me an even greater momentum in the body to do things in a more robust way as well. So I can see it. I can see this working, and I can see it working to people's advantage. Now, I can understand, and let's be clear on this: drug companies in the UK would probably prefer that we didn't know too much about Noni, the Noni juice and Noni fruits, because of the effects it has on people. I mean, I don't think I have to say any more, do I? I mean, that's the fact. You know, Noni juice is very good for you. It makes you, apart from it makes you feel better when you have got ailments and diseases, be it common colds or be it cancers. It makes you feel better. I'm not saying it cures cancer, although, I mean, you know, although some tests say it has reduced the likelihood of cancer coming or cancer getting worse. But it makes you feel better even when you're convalescing a serious illness. It makes you feel better. You recover far quicker, and you relieve pain far better. And it doesn't have any negative impacts on your health at all. There's no negative impacts on your stomach, for example, like aspirin has a negative effect, and the paracetamols, etc. So it has all these enhancements to make you feel better, without giving you any of the negative elements that some medicines, pharmaceutical medicines, do give you. So yeah, I can understand why drug companies in our world don't want to shout about Noni too much, and why it is so. That's why we don't hear about it in our media and in our world. It's not exposed to us because it's in the interest of people that control that industry, not for us to be exposed to it so much. Anyway, that's all I'm going to talk about now. Talk again soon. Bye bye.